In the very first video on this series of Ozi Explorer, I went through how to create a track on the desktop version of Ozi Explorer just by using the track button and clicking away on your mouse, and it draws a straight line between each dot point, and you follow along the tracks and create your track from that and then save it. Now the downside is that it draws a straight line between each dot, and of course roads wind around and the contours change. And yes, you can put a whole lot more dots in, which I generally do, but it can be very time consuming on a long trip. There is a way of actually using Google Maps, which I've got on the screen here at the moment, and transposing that track that you create on Google Maps into Ozi Explorer, which will give you all the waypoints and the track plots at the same time. The downside of Google Maps, of course, is that we all know that Google Maps can tend to take you into some really strange places when you're going from one point to another, and not always on the best route. But when you're looking at the wider map and you're going between country towns, it's usually very good in most part. Anyway, I'll show you how to do this here. We'll do one on Google Maps, and most of you probably know how to do that, but I'll go through it anyway. So let's say we start at a town of Avoca in Victoria. And we'll do a directions, click on the directions button over here, and let's say we'll just throw in a few different towns. So we'll go Stuart Mill, and already it's given you a couple of options. Now I'm just going to keep adding towns, so we'll go add destination. Let's say we go Donald, add another one. We'll start turning around. We'll go to Minyip, and another one. We'll go back to Manu and add another one. Go to Rapunyip. So I'm just going to put in a few so that we get a few town names. Add another one. There, that's a back and forth, but that's okay. And there is a limit to these on Google Maps. There is a limit of 10 that you can put in. So if you had a track that had a lot more than 10 towns in it, like from Melbourne to WA, the one I did, what you would end up, you do it in 3 sections. Do it in 3 sections of 10 or 2 of 10, or however many you need, and then when you get to Ozi Explorer, you join them together, and we have got a video to show you how to join tracks together. So say you'd have 3 separate tracks, join them together, and you'd end up with the one track. So there we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That'll do. Now, I'll just scroll back out a bit, and there's the map. Now, if you go, that'll be your track, and we want to get that track into Ozi Explorer. So let's go up on the left-hand side here, where there's the three little bars, and go down to Share or Embed Map, and it brings up Stuart Mill to Greens Creek, which is what we've done. And you copy this link. It's a URL. Copy that and close it. If you actually, just as an aside, if you want to send somebody that link, you just email it. So if I just post it into the browser here up the top and hit enter, and you send that link to someone, that's what they'll see. But that's not what we're going to use it for. Now, there is a website that I found called Maps to GPX, and the GPX file is what we'll want to import into Ozi Explorer. So, and look, by the way, when you're using these, somebody's gone to the trouble of creating this, and it's going to be really handy. So it's worth throwing them $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever you feel is worthwhile. Anyway, we've got that track in memory because we hit there and did the copy, so it's in memory. So I'm just going to click on here on the paste and hit Control V and paste it in. Down the bottom here there's options for just making a very basic track, which will give you straight lines between each of those towns that we put in. Not really what we want. The track points is what you want, so get as many track points as you can. Then you just hit the Let's Go button. Now it'll take maybe half a minute, depending on how big your track is. I did one that went all the way from Melbourne over to 80 Mile Beach at the top of Western Australia, and it ended up being, I think, about 4 megabytes, the size of the file, which is big for a track plot. However, it's not too big to use, so this one shouldn't be too big at all. So it's still whirring away there at the moment, and there it is now on my screen. It's actually now automatically downloaded it into my downloads folder. And you can see there it's got a name, and it's a GPX extension. And if I click on there, show in the folder, and there it is there. I've done a few more playing around with this earlier. This is the one that we want. So I'm just going to right click on that and cut it. And I'll just stick it in a temp folder for now. I'll make a new one. We'll call it temp2. And I'll right click on the mouse and paste. So I know that it's in my D directory, D drive under a folder called temp2. I'll close that. Now we'll go to Ozi Explorer, which is open. That's the HEMA 150 map that I use. You've actually got to go File, Load from File, and down further, Import GPX. And you can see I've got some in the download folder already there. So I'll go back up to find my D drive in a second. There it is. And temp2, and there it is there. And there it's imported. I'll scroll in, and you can see, I'll just make it a bit clearer because I'll change the colour of that. Up here I go to the track control box, open that. There is a video on how to do all this if you're not sure. Save, and now it's coming up and it'll save the actual track. You can see now it's going to save it as a PLT, which is Ozi Explorer's default track extension. Now I'll put it back in the same folder, and we'll call it test track from Google. Save it and hit close and get out, and there it is. Again, I like to have them a little bit wider than that, so I'll just increase the width. So you can see that you've got your towns that we put in as now are all the waypoints, and the track itself is perfectly aligning with the actual road. If I show you how many on this, how many points this has got in the track control, it says show individual track points. You can see there's a lot of, that would be a lot of clicking doing this on Ozi Explorer. There's a heck of a lot. There's 4,483 track points. Well, you know, we wouldn't be doing that in our own time, so this is a really good way to get it done. And it also gives you the 302.11 kilometre distance. Now what you've got to do here, because the GPX file had both, it had the waypoints and the track plot all in one, we've now got to save each of these separately. So we would go up and save the waypoints to a file, and it's come up with the same temp2 directory. So again, I'd just call it maybe Google test 2, save that, and now I could clear those waypoints. So if I go up to map, clear all waypoints, it's not asking me to save them because I've already done it. Now I've just got a pure track plot, and here I can go save track to file, and we'll call it, it's come up with a default name, test track from Google, PLT, save that, replace it. Yes, it's saved when I changed the colour, so I'll just replace it again, and now I could delete it and just bring it back in any time I like. And what's more important, transfer both of those, which is in another video, to my tablet and use it on the run. So it's a really, really quick way of having you know, a lot of track points done for you by Google. Hopefully Google taking you the right way, but you can check that as you go and pick the right plot. I hope that's been helpful, and thanks for watching.